There is a legend, a prophecy so old it hasn't slipped off of any tongue for over 2,000 years. The ancient prophecy, thought by many to be a frivolous squandering of words, ink, and paper, seems to be fulfilling itself after a long 2 millennia. It tells of a YouTuber, CJ Creates. It says that every year, about this time, he emerges from hiding to deliver one video about Batman. And so, we are all awaiting his return after 1 long year.
Okay, yes, this video is about Batman. However, I wanted to analyze a piece of Batman media that not as many people are aware of. So, I want to introduce to you Batman Ninja. If you haven't already seen it, which is kind of embarrassing if you ask me, Batman Ninja is a 2018 movie animated in Japan with an original script in Japanese. Yes, this is a Batman anime. And you know what? It's a really weird movie, but it's honestly pretty good. For those of you unenlightened by Batman Ninja, let me give a brief summary of the plot. Gorilla Grodd builds a time machine in the middle of Gotham, and it sends back Batman and a ton of his villains to feudal Japan. Batman wakes up 2 years later, with samurai hunting him on behalf of the Joker. And it's weird here, because apparently Batman sees these men in Joker masks and the purple and green outfits, and he genuinely asks,
"Who's your master?"
Like, what? You seriously couldn't even make a guess?
Like, dude, this clown-themed villain is out to get me. It doesn't make sense.
But anyways, I'm getting too persnickety, I think. Eventually, Batman teams up with Catwoman, Alfred, and all the Robins, and he learns that a host of his villains are warring over all the different provinces of Japan, just like the real feudal lords of history. The most powerful of them all, of course, is the Joker. That's as much of the plot as I'm going to get into, because I really want you to watch it yourself. The story is batshit crazy. Get it? Of course, it's nowhere near the greatness of other Batman movies like The Batman, the Lego Batman movie, or The Mask of the Phantasm. As I alluded to before, the story really meanders for a lot of the movie, and it's definitely not very thematically rich. I do have several issues with it. For one, I wish the movie had examined how all this futuristic technology and new warring supervillains affected the normal citizens of feudal Japan. For a movie that prides itself on its portrayal of this era, there aren't really any characters who are just regular people. A character like that would really ground the movie's story and give Batman something real to fight for: the people. In the actual movie, his motivation seems to just be protecting the historical timeline, which is a little weak for me, but that's a whole other can of worms that I'll get into later. Also, I'll just mention this to defend the movie from my own criticisms. I watched the English dub, and apparently its script is pretty different from the original Japanese one, so that could explain some of the clunkiness in the story. But anyways, even with my issues with the plot, Batman Ninja is still a really fun time with some amazing animation. Speaking of which, yes, the visuals. Batman Ninja is definitely the most innovative, or at least experimental DC movie when it comes to animation. It fully embraces several anime styles, and I especially love how the scenes on the farm look. The simple, sketchy watercolors look amazing in contrast with the rest of the movie's more detailed style. In general, the animation also draws inspiration from the art of the time period. The backgrounds reminded me a lot of Hokusai's woodblock prints. Another thing I noticed was how brilliantly the characters' designs were translated into a feudal Japan setting. This is where the movie really shines. All the main supervillains pretty much resemble feudal lords of the era. I mean, Joker's dressed like an upper-class emperor, and Two-Face, Deathstroke, and Penguin all look like samurai with their own trademarks incorporated. Penguin literally has an army of samurai penguins. I cannot make this up. Oh, and I didn't even mention the sumo wrestler Bane. But it's not just the villains who have awesome redesigns. Like, Bruce's missionary outfit is... oh. What kind of haircut is that? He disguises himself like that to blend in, right? But then why would he shave the bat symbol on top? What does that do? I cannot begin to state how furious this haircut makes me feel, down to my core. I'm gonna be honest. If he looked like that for more than a couple of scenes, I can't guarantee that my mind would still be intact. When I have the opportunity to rectify this heinous act, I will do it swiftly. I will painstakingly paint over every single frame that has this egregious haircut in it, and then every problem will be solved. No more hunger, lack of clean water, climate change, prejudice, hate, war, none of it. They'll be gone. Wiping Batman's haircut from existence will purge any evil from the world. Also, Robin's bald? Yeah, the character designs are pretty sick. There's a ton more that I could say about the artistry behind them all, but I'll just leave you with one image. Yeah, that's right. It's Samurai Batman riding a horse. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Alright, now is the time of the video where I usually highlight the themes or ideas of the movie I'm discussing. But Batman Ninja is simply a fun action movie with a high concept. There's no way that I can find anything profound in this movie. How could I possibly extract any sort of deeper meaning? Batman Ninja is a commentary on imperialism. Fight me. I mentioned before how the movie almost feels like a history lesson at some points, and how Batman's main motivation is to protect the historical timeline. After all, Batman and all of his villains bring back tons of advanced technology to the past, and there are certain other premature advancements like coal and muskets being used before they should have. In this way, the movie is also about reconnecting with the natural world. Batman doesn't succeed until he focuses on his own mind, body, and friends. In the film's words, he resolves to use the rules of the time period, and he uses period methods to fight and survive. So, Batman also doesn't defeat the villains until he allies himself with the people who actually belong in the setting of feudal Japan. In other words, the movie uses a lens of technology and history to comment on imperialism. The villains are all warring over a land that doesn't belong to them in a time period that doesn't belong to them, with technology that doesn't belong to the era. Doesn't that remind you of anything? It's not subtle that the ultimate threat is Joker's giant robot, whereas Batman's greatest weapon is his army full of samurai monkeys and bats. Yeah, this movie's kinda weird. And the way Batman finally wins is a simple rooftop sword fight against the Joker. So the movie's ideas basically boil down to this. Any attempt to take over something that doesn't belong to you with methods that give you an unfair advantage is, well, evil. Yeah, it's actually a pretty simple message, but it's not a bad one. And even if you're not looking for some profound meaning, Batman Ninja is still a good movie. Not to mention that it's an extremely original Batman story. It's unlike any other Batman movie I've ever seen. It certainly has some awesome moments, and it has great talent behind it. So you know what? A Batman anime was actually a pretty good idea. See, that was clever. Wow, that was really good. That's so awesome. Hi. Yeah, that's my take on, Batman Ninja. Go watch it if you want. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for watching this video. Yeah, you know what to do if you want to see more of them. I'm confused. What are we supposed to do? What does he want us to do?
I don't know, man. Maybe we show up to his house and ask for more videos. I don't know. I mean, I really want to see more, but
I got it. We gotta like and subscribe. That must
yes,
be
that's
it.
totally what he wants us to do. That's like yeah. Good idea.
I know. You know what to do. Oh, hi. 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 What do you think about Batman Ninja? I agree.